I've heard about this for the last couple of days. It's gone pretty far and wide. Minnesota trooper charged in fatal shooting of black driver during traffic stop. Hennepin County officials say Minnesota State Patrol Trooper Ryan Lundgren faces multiple charges, including murder and assault, after the fatal shooting of Ricky Cobb during a traffic stop.
Studying police use of force prosecutions and even the public details of the Ricky Cobb shooting had trouble predicting whether charges would be filed.
I would say that this case has kind of been a close call all along, and so I didn't have a strong expectation one way or another.
University of St. Thomas School of Law professor Rachel Moran says even though the 3 charges Trooper Ryan Lundgren now faces range from murder down to assault, she says they're all related.
The underlying allegation in all 3 charges is that the officer should not have fired into the vehicle. What they're really saying is he did not have the right to use deadly force in this situation.
And Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty said this morning that she came to that conclusion based on the troopers' training.
They are not allowed to shoot at a car which is driving away. They're not allowed to shoot someone to prevent the car from driving away. They are only allowed to use deadly force if it will prevent great bodily harm or death to their partner or somebody else.
But in filings today, Lundgren's legal team argues that there was significant threat of bodily harm and death, something echoed by the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association later in the day.
Just in the last few years, we've had 2 instances, one in Virginia, one in Georgia, where officers were making a lawful arrest. The suspect fled, and both of those officers in those cases died. And so when we look at just not only the general threat to the public, but then we look into the 2 troopers in this case, they were dragged by this vehicle. They did suffer some injuries as a result of it.
But Moriarty says the officers are not trained that firing a gun is the answer.
Our understanding is also that they were trained that shooting someone is unlikely to stop them from driving the car away. In fact, most often people do drive the car away. So our determination was it was not a necessary use of force to prevent great bodily harm or death by that officer, Lundgren, or his partner.
But despite vowing early in the investigation to consult a use of force expert in making that decision, Moriarty said today that was not the case.
We were able to determine that charges were appropriate in this charge without the use of an expert.
The fact that there is no expert tells me that there's likely no expert that would agree with her conclusion that the officer should be charged with murder.
Professor Moran says whether or not that's the case could prove pivotal if and when the case goes to trial.
Because the defense will probably find an expert or multiple experts who say this use of force was justified. Will the state have someone to say it wasn't? So you can charge a case without an expert, but the strength of your case at trial may depend on whether you have an expert at that point.
Thanks for watching.